European Union previously announced to end decade-long sanctions on Myanmar, except the arms embargo, to reward positive reform steps implemented by President Thein Sein. It was the same day that Human Rights Watch published a report on the violence in Rakhine State that led to 210 dead and displaced thousands of people. The lifting sanctions of the European Union raised the questions whether this is the right time or not amid the ongoing violence in Kachin State and intercommunal violence between Buddhist and Muslim people. Myanmar Focus Daily today sought for answers to the question with an interview with His Excellency David Lipman, the EU Ambassador to Thailand and Myanmar.
First of all, you must understand that the sanctions themselves have been suspended for 12 months. So what we're doing is not a revolutionary change. What the European Union had to do is strike a balance between recognizing the remarkable achievements of the government of Thein Sein and at the same time balancing this against the challenges that remain, including the problems of Rakhine State, the problems of Kachin and other problems, and indeed the remaining political prisoners. And we examined this very carefully, and we felt that the time was right to move on and open a new chapter in our relations with Myanmar.
The main factors that led to the EU lifting sanctions on Myanmar are the remarkable political, economic, and social development.
There have been so many things happening in the last 2 years in the positive sense. For example, there's been a huge release of political prisoners. There are still some political prisoners that remain, but now nearly all political prisoners have been released. We are very happy with that. There has been a great opening up, for example, of the media. Freedom of expression is something very, very important, and we've seen big changes. We have seen now big reforms as regards labour, for example, and the virtual end of forced labour. There were many, many things that were of considerable concern to the European Union that have changed, and the government is now embarking on economic reforms as well to liberalise the country, and these are things that are very positive elements in the country.
The European Union stated that despite lifting the sanctions, concerns on the intercommunal religious strife, the ongoing fighting in Kachin, and humanitarian assistance for the Rohingya in Rakhine State still remain. The EU is also examining these issues closely.
And we have decided that we will open a political dialogue with the authorities of Myanmar to discuss these things, and a human rights dialogue. So we are not in any way pretending that there aren't challenges. There are important challenges, and we intend to help to address them with the authorities of Myanmar. And that is why the time is right now to open a new chapter, abandon sanctions, but continue to work through dialogue with the authorities, and indeed with the Parliament and with the democratic opposition.
In opening the new chapter with Myanmar, the European Union has expressed that reactions from President Thein Sein and government ministers has been positive. There are currently ongoing discussions between the two parties to solve these issues. Yet many investors are reluctant whether the reforms are irreversible.
And not just my personal opinion, but this is the view of the European Union, the reason why we have lifted our sanctions is because we want to encourage and support the transition. And that is important, and that is what the European Union is doing. We're in the forefront of assisting in many ways. We have increased enormously our development assistance, and we are working very closely with the authorities and indeed with the opposition to help with these reforms. So of course in life nothing can ever be certain, but at the moment the process is certainly going in the right direction, and we want to support it and encourage it.
In a related story, the United States has also decided to lift some sanctions on Myanmar after the announcement of the European Union. This clearly shows that Myanmar is moving into the right direction toward opening up the country, but it also has to prepare for unexpected problems that come with the development. Honorable Tami Sang for Myanmar Focus Daily.